Hey guys, I'm Ken with Mid-Level Media, and today I wanted to talk about bootleg Blu-rays and why I think it's not that bad for you to have them in your collection. Or maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Is it? It's not that bad, right? Maybe I'm going to hell for this. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Ken with Mid-Level Media, and I wanted to weigh in on this whole bootleg Blu-ray debate that's been going on. It's been going on YouTube. It's been going on Instagram. Actually started for me about a week and a half. There was an issue that I had. I'm not really going to go into that, but it involved one of my friends here on YouTube. You've probably seen him on the channel before. Not going to name him here, even though I don't really think he would care if I did. And then somebody else on Instagram, it was a whole thing with his bootleg Blu-rays, and he was basically calling him a bad collector for buying these Blu-rays when this guy like supports physical media more than anybody. Anyway, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I had planned to do this video kind of inspired by that. And then I seen other people start to post their videos on YouTube. I think Jeff from Films at Home did a video on the bootleg Blu-rays, and then AJ's Movie Place did a video on it, kind of opposing his opinion on it in a very respectful way. And that's the thing, guys. I don't aim to kind of go after anybody with this video or oppose anybody directly with my thoughts, but I do have thoughts on this whole bootleg Blu-ray thing, and I'm going to share my opinions. They may align with some things that have been said before. They may not. But that's just the way it is, guys. We're all on YouTube. We're all on Instagram. We're all on social media. We all have thoughts and we all have opinions, and they may be different, but that's okay. So I'm here to kind of lay out my thoughts. I got a bunch of notes wrote down. Like, I've got so many thoughts on this, guys. My mind's like literally going in all different directions. And that's the thing with life, guys, and just issues and stuff that's going on in the world. Everybody's so quick to get on social media and just like bark at each other about things and go back and forth. That's not my aim with this at all, because I think that with most issues in life, there's always a large area of gray where you can kind of see both sides to it. And I think that that's the case with this right here. I think you can see both sides to this, and both the pros and the cons of bootleg Blu-rays, which I've actually got quite a few of in my collection. I got a whole stack right here. But before we get into it, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you've just stumbled upon my channel, I talk about physical media on this channel like crazy. I love physical media, guys. As you can see behind me, I've got a whole wall of legal Blu-rays and 4Ks over there that I purchased legally. And again, I didn't purchase these right here. I've actually never purchased a bootleg Blu-ray, but I did get a lot sent to me from a subscriber like some months ago. But like I said, I love physical media. We talk about it here on this channel. If you like that sort of thing, hit the subscribe button, and also be sure to like this video and then comment down below. Please comment down below, because that is the only reason that I am doing this video. Well, both to get my thoughts out there, but I want your thoughts on this. And like I said, this is likely going to go in a variety of directions. People are going to have a variety of opinions on this subject, and that's okay. Nobody's necessarily right or wrong unless you think that you're on the right side, which there's definitely those kind of people as well. But there's so many different angles to this, and there's so many different exceptions, and there's so many different like, well, what about this and what about that, that it's almost impossible to lay this out in a pure like black and white way. Like, we have to get into the morality of this. Like, is this a corrupt thing to own bootleg Blu-rays in your collection? Like I said in the opening, am I going to hell for getting these bootleg Blu-rays? Am I not supporting the artists, the creators that make these movies that I love by doing this? Like I said, I do own some bootleg Blu-rays in my collection. I've got about 40 or 50. Somebody sent me these like a while ago, and I'm so happy that I have some of these. They're great transfers, by the way. And I'm not going to get into any of the like how they do this, how they make. I have no idea how these are made. I have no idea how these companies are able to sell this stuff and like get away with it. I have no idea how people do the bootleg Blu-rays. I have no idea how people do the VHS tapes that you can actually play the movies on and get away with it with the cool artwork and all that. I don't know the legality of any of this stuff, the legal ramifications. Like, I don't know. Am I going to jail because I'm going to put this video out and I'm going to show that I have bootleg Blu-rays in my collection? I don't know, guys, any of the answers to this stuff. I can just speak to this from my, own perspective on it. So is it a bad thing? Is it morally corrupt for doing this? Again, there's a lot of angles to get into. I want to say off the top of my head, no, I don't think you're a bad person because you have bootleg Blu-rays in your collection. I don't think it's a big violation of your moral integrity. I'll just say that. I think that if you have bootleg Blu-rays in your collection, you're still a good person. You're still somebody that supports the creators and the artists, unless that's the only thing that you have in your collection is bootleg Blu-rays, and you've ripped them all yourself and you've never supported anybody for creating the things that you love. Then you're a piece of crap. You're a piece of crap and you deserve, don't even watch this video. Click off of this. You should be ashamed of yourself. Go stand in the corner somewhere and count to 20 because you're a bad person. No, I don't think it's a bad thing at the end of the day. I don't think your morals are in question because you own bootleg Blu-rays in your collection. Again, I do own them, about 40 or 50. I got them sent to me by a subscriber as I get the actual releases though, because I had a whole debate with myself when I was reorganizing my entire collection a few weeks ago. Do I put these in alphabetical order with the rest of my real Blu-rays in my collection? And I ultimately decided to do so. And as I get legitimate copies of these, when the studios finally pull their heads out of their butts and put this stuff out on real physical media, I will purchase the real physical media version and I will take the bootleg out of my collection. And I will put it in a box somewhere or whatever, maybe give it away or take it to a Goodwill and let some lucky person find it randomly. I'll take it out of the collection and I'll get rid of it and I'll replace it with that legal version that I purchased myself, because that's what it all comes down to at the end of the day, guys. A lot of people want to make the argument that if you have these in your collection, you're not supporting the creators financially. Well, if I don't have the option to support the creators financially and I want that movie, I don't see anything wrong with getting the movie that I want. I will replace them out. I will put my money where my mouth is and I will look. I got all this stuff, guys. I love movies. I love purchasing physical media. I will absolutely purchase physical versions of all these. And we're going to start with After Hours right here because I do have a Blu-ray, bootleg Blu-ray copy of this. This just got announced for a Criterion 4K and I am 100% picking this up in July and I will get rid of this Blu-ray when that comes out and add that to my collection. True Lies. It's supposed to get a 4K at some point, but until it does, I got this bootleg Blu-ray in my collection. I actually have 2 copies of this in my collection and the DVD, which I purchased from Goodwill, but that's a whole nother subject, guys. Are we supporting the creators when we buy stuff from Goodwill or Half Price Books or secondhand shops? Or are we just supporting those secondhand shops for adding the movies to our collection? So you go deep with this when it comes to like supporting creators and like the right or wrong, way to do that. But True Lies right here, guys, having the collection. If this comes out on 4K or even Blu-ray, I will 100% buy a legitimate copy and put it in the collection. I don't like owning stuff like this if I don't have to, if I don't feel like I need to have it in my collection. And to be honest, if nobody gave me these, I would have not sought them out. Like if they don't have legitimate versions, I'm not going to pay money for that, I guess, at the end of the day. Some people will. And again, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that if you get away with it. Maybe there's something wrong with the people actually doing it. But if you find it and there's a way for you to get it and you love the movie and you really want it in your collection, I don't fault you for wanting to get it. Again, we're living in desperate times when it comes to physical media, so I don't fault that at all. So, when it comes to True Lies, 100% I will get this and add it to the collection when it comes out. The Abyss, this is supposed to be getting a 4K at some point, but I have it on Blu-ray, the bootleg version, but when it comes out on 4K, I will 100% replace that out right there. But yeah, I just don't like I said, I want the legal versions, the legitimate versions in the collection, but if I have the option, and that's the only option I have, to own the Beverly frickin' Hillbillies on Blu-ray, then yeah, I'm going to get the Beverly Hillbillies, because what's the alternative here? I wait for a physical media version of this. Maybe this is on streaming right now. Maybe it's not. I'm not exactly sure. But what's the alternative? I wait for the physical version, and I wait, and I'm 60, 65. It never comes, and then physical media is completely dead. And then I just never get to experience and watch the Beverly Hillbillies again. I loved this movie growing up. I want to rewatch this movie 100%. And if I did not have this movie in my collection right now, maybe I can rent it. I didn't look all that stuff up. But in 20 years, maybe I won't be able to rent it. And to me, this is securing this film's legacy in my collection, owning this bootleg version. And what if we live in a world in 30 to 40 years where these movies are forgotten about. They're not on the streaming services anymore. There's no way to get them. All the DVDs are lost and gone. Like everybody's just picked through them. There's no way to own the Beverly Hillbillies. There has never been a legitimate version put out. I've got this movie on Blu-ray to watch anytime I want to watch it because somebody made a bootleg of it. To me, that's just the coolest thing. Like people and what they can do, you know, the creativity of it all, making this, putting this out. I just think it's super cool. Again, maybe it's a little shady, but it's also super cool that we can get stuff like this, that somebody's able to actually do this. And I can have the Beverly Hillbillies in my collection. Again, maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Who's to say? But I have the movie in my collection and I can watch freaking Ernest in the Beverly Hillbillies. I love this movie so much. I don't make it a practice to buy them. But again, I wouldn't rule it out either. Like just because I haven't purchased a bootleg Blu-ray yet, because I got all these sent to me, you know, and I got Splash sent to me as well. This doesn't, can you believe that Splash with Tom Hanks, Daryl Hannah from 1984 does not have a Blu-ray or 4K? Like what the hell is up with that? I'm pretty sure it's streaming on 4K on Disney Plus or at least HD. That's crazy to me. This is such a big movie. Why hasn't Disney put this out? Like, this is ridiculous. That movie doesn't have a Blu-ray, but I have it on Blu-ray and I'm happy to own it on Blu-ray. But again, I'm not going to rule it out. Like if Barbarian does not get a 4K or a Blu-ray within the next year, within the next 2 years, it was supposed to get one in December. That's what everybody told me when I made that video last year. I might just get on a website and order Barbarian on a bootleg Blu-ray or a bootleg 4K. I'm not going to have any shame in that. I want that movie in my collection. If the studios refuse to put it out, if they're not going to put it out, I'm sorry. I respect the creators. I respect the director that made that movie, but I want it in my collection. You guys are not giving me the option to purchase it. And when it comes to maybe purchasing it on streaming, I don't want to do that. I'm a physical media collector. I want to own it in the collection, because what happens when I purchase it on streaming? I don't purchase anything on streaming. I may rent stuff from time to time, like if it's an early access kind of deal. Back during the pandemic, I was doing that quite frequently because I couldn't make it out to the theaters. So I would get stuff early access, you know, for 20 bucks and things like that. But I don't purchase movies anymore on streaming. Like it's not something I've done in probably 6 or 7 years since I started up this collection again. So I don't want to purchase streaming movies. Again, I know I would be supporting the creators and the studios and stuff like that, but couldn't that also be sending the wrong message because I'm supporting the streaming? And then what that's going to say to them is that we can get away with this. We can get away with not putting these movies out physically because people will buy it streaming, guys. People will buy it streaming. So the numbers for the streaming on Barbarian are through the roof. Everybody's buying it streaming. Are we going to be able to make any extra from a physical release, or did everybody just buy it streaming? So I don't think that that sends the right message to these studios to buy this movie on streaming. You know, maybe if they see all of us out there with these bootleg copies of Barbarian, they will see, and then we're holding it in the air and we're screaming, we want Barbarian. We don't want this copy that we have in our hands. We don't want this bootleg Blu-ray, but you're making us get this bootleg Blu-ray. You're making us get this. We want a legitimate copy. We crave it. We want it. We want legitimacy in our collection. I have all of these nice box sets and slip covers and just all of this stuff that looks super nice. But then I got all these bootlegs on the shelf. They don't look good. This looks, I got the Stupids on Blu-ray. That's amazing, by the way, that I have this movie. I love this movie when I was a kid, but the artwork's like super faded. It doesn't look great, guys. I don't want this on the shelf. I want a legitimate version of the Stupids. So maybe if we all get bootleg Blu-rays of Barbarian or Prey and hold it up in the air and say, we want these movies, damn it, then they'll give it to us. But we got to make a statement. And I don't think that the right statement to make is to buy these movies streaming. I don't think that that's the right thing to do at all. That will send the complete wrong message. And especially as time goes on, studios like Disney and Warner Brothers start to do this stuff even more. You know, the studios start releasing less and less physical media releases. Like that's what we're heading for with this stuff. Like Barbarian, I keep bringing it up, but that's the biggest example. This movie came out in the theaters and it did really well, and they didn't release it on Blu-ray. Like, what's going on with that? Like, what's the reasoning for this? Because the Menu got a Blu-ray. That's Disney, Fox, Searchlight. Then we got Banshees of Inisherin. But See How We Run, or See How They Run, or whatever, and Barbarian did get Blu-ray releases. There's still no explanation for this. So it's baffling to me. But this stuff, more and more of this stuff, if we don't speak up and say something and show the studios that we want this, more and more of this kind of stuff is going to slip through the cracks, and the movies that we love are going to get lost in film history because of it. And I don't think that at this point, I know it was different back in the 90s with the bootleg stuff. Like people in the theaters holding up their cameras, like recording a movie, selling it on VHS, like in the alleyways. It's not that kind of situation anymore. Most people have streaming. They don't really worry about having a bootleg stuff anymore. It's us physical media enthusiasts that don't mind buying this stuff physically, that feel like we need to do this because we need these movies. We need to preserve them in our collection. So it's not the same kind of thing. I think that bootleg in the 90s, definitely could be a little shady, definitely could be a little dirty. Like I remember going to my grandmother's house, guys, and who didn't do this like when you were kids, guys? If you say you didn't do this when you were younger or your family didn't do this, somebody in your family didn't do this, you're a freaking liar. But who back in the 90s didn't go to Blockbuster, didn't record a movie that they rented onto another VHS tape, the 6-hour tape, and maybe put 3 movies on that tape, and that was their entire library. That was my grandmother's entire library and my aunt. I would go over to their house, and every single movie in their collection would be recorded on a 6-hour tape. They had hundreds of movies. I watched tons of movies for the first time off of those tapes. Hundreds of movies on these tapes, all recorded, 3 movies on every tape. And I watched so many movies like that. But they went to Blockbuster every Tuesday, rented these movies, and then secured them in their collection by recording it from a VCR to another. And then on top of that, like, who didn't do this? You're a damn liar if you didn't do this. Take those same 6-hour tapes and record your favorite television show that did not get a physical media release, that did not come out on VHS. Like, who was recording Full House or Married with Children or some of the popular TGIF on VHS tape like back in the 90s. I was recording Goosebump episodes back in the 90s because not all of them were on VHS. Some of them were, and I had them in my collection. But the other ones that I wanted, I recorded on VHS tape. Like I had the entire, I think, first 2 seasons of Erie, Indiana on a bunch of VHS tapes. Like, is that wrong? Is that legally wrong? I'm not supposed to be recording this stuff off the TV, but it's not made available to me. I cannot buy this stuff physically. So in the 90s, if I wanted it, if I wanted to own it, if I wanted access to it, I recorded it off the TV, and then I was able to watch it later. Now, you could argue that nowadays you have streaming. You can go back anytime you want as long as you have that service and watch that TV show. But I would argue that you're maybe not always going to have that option, because some of these streaming services, the way things have been going, especially with HBO Max or Max now, they will just rip these shows off of there, so you won't have access to them anymore. Shows like Westworld, you cannot watch anymore. And I think that as we go on and these streaming services evolve, you're going to see way more of that. Can you imagine in the future if Stranger Things is pulled? I don't think that they would ever do this. That's probably the last show they would pull off. But what if Stranger Things was pulled from Netflix and we don't have physical versions of this show? What would we do? We wouldn't be able to watch Stranger Things if we wanted to watch it because there's no physical media versions and it's not on Netflix. So it's just a way to secure it in your collection. And back in the 90s, that was your only choice. But taking ourselves out of the 90s, going back into current times again, you just never know when the studio is going to put something out. So when you're looking at stuff like Prey that came out on Hulu, and it's really dangerous nowadays with streaming, guys, all this stuff coming out, streaming exclusives that we know damn good and well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix, are not going to get physical media releases because they're on streaming. So why would they put them on physical media? Shows like The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, and then Prey that was on Hulu. Like, we want this movie on 4K, but we have not got it yet. Will we ever get it? I don't know. You never know. If you want it in your collection, this is probably the best bet. You just can't get most of this streaming stuff physically. What if you want to own it? And at the end of the day, guys, you got to decide, does the dangers of the creator's work getting lost forever outweigh the financial support for it? Because I would argue that the creator of something, I think that the much more important thing for that creator is to have his work immortalized in film history and to not have it get lost. Like, even the creators that do stuff that's just complete garbage by objective movie-going standards, they still want their work preserved in film history. And if it's on a streaming service, who's to say if it's on there in 10 years? I think we should always have, guys, always and forever. Guys, we are physical creatures. We are not uploaded to the cloud. We are here on this earth physically, at least for now. Maybe in the future we will be uploaded. Our consciousness will be uploaded to the cloud. But right now we're on earth. We're physical. We walk, we feel, we touch. We want this stuff physically. Like, the streaming it may cut it for most people, may cut it for 90% of the world. it doesn't cut it for me, and it doesn't cut it for the people that's watching this video. I can almost guarantee that we want this stuff physically in our hands, in our collection, preserved. Like, that's what it's all about for me. It's owning a library. It's physically preserving these movies. This is film history, guys. This is film history, and it's so important to me. I hope it's important to you. You know, owning movies like Grandma's Boy on Blu-ray. I've got it on DVD, but I want this movie on Blu-ray, you know, in a better quality to watch and enjoy and experience on my HD TV. I want What About Bob? Like, why have we not gotten What About Bob on Blu-ray? I'll tell you why, because it's a touchstone picture, and that's Disney. What About Bob needs a Blu-ray. Encino Man needs a Blu-ray. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead needs a Blu-ray. Blank Man needs a Blu-ray. But guess what? They don't have Blu-rays. They don't have Blu-rays because nobody cares. No studio cares, mostly Disney, but some Warner Brothers as well, doesn't care to release it physically for us to enjoy. So you know what? If you don't care to release it for us to enjoy, to have in our collection, if you don't care about us as consumers, then I don't care to own these in my collection illegally, or whatever you want to say. Is it legal? Is it not? I don't know. I have in my collection. Maybe the cops are going to show up at my house any minutes now. Now, I will say, guys, kind of leaning on the negative side of owning bootleg Blu-rays in your collection. Like, if you have a bootleg Blu-ray of a movie that just came out, like if you have one of like John Wick Chapter 4, the movie just came out and you somehow got a bootleg of it, you know that movie's coming out on physical media, on Blu-ray 4K. It just got announced. If you have that on bootleg Blu-ray and you don't intend to buy the new one when it comes out, then you're just showing a lack of patience. Like, just wait a little bit till it comes out and get it. Or maybe you're just trying to like own a cheap version of it and you don't intend to buy the one when it comes out, the Blu-ray or the 4K when it comes out. That, in my opinion, is bad, and you are a bad person for having it in the collection. Just kidding. I'm sure you had your reasons, but you know, toss that bootleg to the side and buy the actual version when it comes out. Support physical media, support the creators. Whenever you get the chance, whenever you get the opportunity, I would definitely advocate for that. But I look, and this is where we're going to close, guys. This is where we're going to close. At what point do we give up on certain movies getting Blu-rays or 4Ks? At what point do we give up? It feels like we're fighting a losing battle at this point with all of these movies not getting Blu-rays, movies coming out on streaming, never even seeing the light of day on physical media. At least movies like Blank Man and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, at least they have DVDs. At least they have DVDs, but there's so many movies that came out on VHS that didn't make the jump to DVD, so many DVDs that didn't yet make the jump to Blu-ray, so many Blu-rays that didn't make the jump to 4K. There's so many movies that are getting left behind, and I don't think that all these movies are getting picked up. Some of them are, but I don't think all these movies are getting picked up on streaming services. So some of these movies, guys, are just going to get lost, and they're never going to be experienced by anybody again. That's a scary thought for me to think about, because some of these movies, like, we're going to grow up with, and we're going to love, and we're going to see these movies in the theaters. At what point do we just give up on this? What happens when Barbarian, in 25 years, they don't do a physical media release? What happens if that gets lost in history, that we just forget about it? It gets lost. We don't remember it because it was never immortalized on physical media. That's a scary thought to me, and it should be for you as well. So when do we give up? When do we say when it comes to buying these movies bootleg or waiting for them to come out physically? I say now's the time, guys. Now's the time that we fight, that we do what we have to do. Desperate times call for desperate measures. We need our releases, guys. We need our Blu-rays. We need our 4Ks. We need our physical media releases. And if we don't get them, we're gonna phone in somebody else. We're gonna phone a friend, and we're gonna get them one way or the other. So that's my thoughts on it, guys. Look, I'm again all over the place with most of my videos, so I appreciate you guys sticking around. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Definitely let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below, guys, because I have a lot of thoughts. Like I said, I may do a part 2 because there's just so much stuff swirling around in the brain about this right now. But thank you all so much for watching. Turn on the bell notifications for all future videos. Follow me on all my social media accounts down below, and I'll see you next time.